Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Pregame Show. Kevin Wells in the host chair tonight for Luke Stuckmeyer alongside my buddy, Cody Delmendo. Cody, thanks for having me back here.
Thanks for taking Luke Stuckmeyer's job tonight. I've been doing it all week, and I've messed up like every single show. So
You've been doing a great job.
I appreciate it.
You've been doing a great job.
Everyone's coming back to watch, so I assume it's not too bad, but yeah.
Thanks to all hanging out in the chat today. Cubs and Red Sox to kick off the second half of the season. Incredibly frustrating first half for your Chicago Cubs is in the books. They're 5 games under 500. We're trying to figure out if they're going to be buyers or sellers. We're going to get the answers to a ton of questions over the next 2 weeks here. 17 games left. Cody, what do you think we're going to see on the other side of this thing?
Over the next 17 games?
Yeah, teams under 500 that they're going to play majority after this Red Sox series. This Red Sox team's pretty good.
Yeah.
They're in last place. They're also having a frustrating year, but they're a really good ball club.
Yeah, well, they're a few games out of the wild card. They're right there. They play in the best division in baseball. Mm-hmm. That said, the Cubs have won every series against a team in the AL East at this point this year. So I'm going into this series with some optimism. Mm-hmm. I'm not high on the Red Sox pitching. However, the guy going for them tonight has been pretty good this season. Got a 3.04 earn run average. But
yeah, Bayo.
Yeah, Brian Bayo. But as far as the significance of the next 17 games, we kind of talked about at the end of yesterday's show. They obviously they got to get to 500 and then ascend from there. And they got close. And when they won those 11 or 13, I think they got within 1 game under. And then the Mancini error happened in London, and they lost 5 or 6 from there on or something like that. And they put themselves back in a hole again. But they ended the first half on a high note. They split with Milwaukee. You would have liked them to at least win 3 or 4. They should have if they didn't blow that 6-0 lead they had in Game 1 of that series. Should have won 3 or 4 there. And then they, the fact that they did go to New York where they had never won, ever, to take 2 or 3 and to get a start like they did from Jameson Taillon on the Friday game, and then to make a comeback on Sunday, and not only make the comeback but to complete the comeback and win the game. I feel like they took a lot of momentum into the All-Star break. So, in my eyes, I'm hoping that they can carry that momentum from the Yankees series into this weekend and the rest of this month because, one, they have to if they're not going to be selling the entire roster, which I have all kinds of thoughts on selling the entire roster, but you get what I'm saying. To avoid just being sellers, they got to get back to 500, and they got to put themselves in position to be right there in the division race. It helps that Milwaukee and the Reds are going to play each other in multiple series here over the next couple weeks, and that they play a lot tougher opponents than the Cubs. The Cubs just have to take care of what they can control. They play the Red Sox, a very solid team, but they also play the Nationals. They got to play the Cardinals a handful of times, and I know those games are going to be competitive either way just because they always are. Doesn't matter how good or bad each team is. You know that they will be. The Cubs have a really good opportunity to literally put the Cardinals in their grave for this season, or they can completely flop. So
yeah,
all I'm saying is these games, they are, we keep saying it. They are. I feel like we've been saying the last month. This is a crucial series, a crucial
stretch, yeah.
Right? But
put it on the dartboard. Yeah.
But this is their last chance to avoid being true sellers. So,
and there's so much gray area with being a buyer and a seller, and I think with this team only being 5 games under 500 right now. We heard Jed talk about this on Marquee and with reporters before the game. We got to get back to 500. We got to get back to 500. We know that.
Yeah.
But I think even if they're a game or 2 shy, it's gonna change what kind of buyers they want to be. I do think that they are going to acquire players. I think that in some retrospect, looking at whatever you want, I think that they realize that they need bats. I think if the price is right for certain guys, they have a rebuilt minor league system. I think that there will be guys available that they will go after. There could be a pitcher or 2 because, again, they have Adrian Sampson, they have Javier Assad that could make moving Drew Smyly a little bit easier. Again, it all depends on you don't have to be 10 games over 500 to be a seller or a buyer. I mean, you can be still 2 games under. There's a lot of gray area there. But you're right. They did go into the break riding kind of a high note, 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. Really the only downside, the only negative going in was the Dansby Swanson injury in Milwaukee. And, he's not playing tonight. He's improving. Our guy Ryan Herrera from the ballpark said he's hitting and he's throwing. Nick Madrigal progressing towards jogging and light baseball activities. Another guy that, I don't know if he's got a ton of value, but again, if he's hitting the way he is, and Cubs have a ton of those replacement level players that a team might say, hey, it's pretty cheap and we need a bat off the bench. Another guy that could be, trying out for a new team if he comes back soon. Adrian Sampson will pitch for Iowa tomorrow. Canario moved up. So there's a lot of options now kind of progressing for the Cubs here. But again, the only bad news is the Swanson injury, and it really stinks not having him for at least the first couple games of this series.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of just the team in general, even though Swanson's out, and not only is that bad defensively, but also offensively, you couldn't have asked for a better guy to put it short in place of him. And Horner, Morel has shown really nice plays at second base. He's played pretty well over there. So I'm not really upset with, or I'm not too worried about defensively or even offensively in some aspect with Swanson in there. I miss Swanson mainly for the leadership and just the consistency that you get from him, no doubt. And the offense has been inconsistent all year. They're missing that bat. So yeah, he's obviously the biggest thing they're missing. Madrigal, I don't know anymore, man. I mean, he had a hot stretch, and of course he gets hurt during the hot stretch.
Yeah. One of his best stretches as a pro.
Right.
In general.
Adrian Sampson, he has been pitching in Iowa. Like Ryan said, he's pitching tomorrow in Iowa, but his last few appearances in Iowa, he's been pretty solid. Looks like he's healthy. They're trying to rev him up a little bit, and maybe he can be a factor here in the second half. Don't forget, he was a very good pitcher for them last year. So I do think there's some value in him. And then, you didn't mention Nick Birdie threw a bullpen yesterday, which is good. He had an appendectomy, which that's the reason that he's not been on the team. His last appearance, he was throwing triple digits, I think, in Philadelphia. And you were looking like you were hoping that maybe he can be some kind of an impact arm in the bullpen, and then he's had such an up and down career in terms of injuries and stuff, and then this happens when he's finally healthy. So hopefully he can get a little healthy and he can be part of the Cubs in the second half. There's no way that he's going to have any kind of trade value or anything like that. But another thing related to Iowa, like you kind of said, Alexander Canario reporting to Iowa.
Good to see him
huge.
back. Yeah, it's great to see him back.
It's huge whether the Cubs are going to be buyers or sellers or not, because hopefully you can get a month of him, like in September, whether they're good or not, and see what you got there, and hopefully go into next year with an idea of who he is and what he can provide. So I am excited to see that Canario is moved up to Iowa and is technically on like a rehab right now, but hopefully he shows that he's healthy and starts mashing. Remember, he hit like 35, 36 bombs in Iowa last year. Like and he's a big piece that they got back in the Chris Bryant trade, which a lot of people are, obviously it was him or Killian, or him and Killian. And Killian he's been up and down. He's looked good in the minors for stretches, and then when he comes to the majors, outside of one start, he's struggled, right? So hopefully Canario can, show something for the Cubs later this season. So,
well, the Red Sox come into today's game as the hottest team in the American League. They've won 8 of 9. They have pretty okay starting pitching. The guy the Cubs will see tonight, Brian Bayo. He is the 24-year-old homegrown talent. Doesn't throw super hard, but he's had a really, really nice stretch, and he's not going to be an easy one. This will be one of the toughest matchups of the series, if not the toughest matchup of the series for the Cubs, just for the sole fact of, we look at his numbers right now. 7 innings against the Yankees, 7 innings, 6 2/3, 7 innings, 7 innings. Those are his last, 5, 6 starts. I mean, he's going deep into games. He's not giving up a lot of hits. His strikeout numbers are relatively low, so the contact rate is there, but still, he has been a success story for them. He's gone deep into games for them when they've needed to stop the bleeding. Again, he's been a big part of their last month and their surge. And again, when I talk about frustration for the Red Sox, and this team they're in last place. And again, the best team or the best division in baseball, but they're really frustrated right now too. 5 winners of 5 in a row, hottest team in the AL, like I just said. But they need to win some games here unless they want to be sellers too. I think that even with being only a couple games out of the wild card, they'll look to buy. But again, the gray area with the buying, what kind of players do we want? Do we want to go out and, make the big swing? And I think Bayo has been a stud for them, and a couple other guys on this team too that have really started to heat up and come into their own. Masato Yoshida is a guy that many, if you're not watching a ton of Red Sox games, the 29-year-old Japanese phenom came over.
He's looked pretty good for them, right?
He's been really good for them. Yeah. High contact rate. He's batting over 300. He's got a little bit of pop. Yep. So this Red Sox lineup is full of a lot of sneaky good hitters that maybe not a ton of fans have heard of, because you think of the World Series, that core is gone. The Mookie Betts, JD Martinez core is gone, and they've kind of rebuilt on the
only
fly.
Devers is the only one.
Devers is still there. Yeah, here's the lineup today. Jarren Duran, who's really come on strong for them. Masato Yoshida, Justin Turner, Rafael Devers, Verdugo's another one. Adam Duvall could be a trade candidate for them. Tristan Casas, Connor Wong, and Yu Chang to round it out at shortstop. So, again, a lot of guys you maybe not have heard of a ton, but some guys with some pop, especially at the top of that lineup. Yeah. They can provide, and they get on base at a high clip.
We know all about Justin Turner from his days with the Dodgers, so that's that. But, yeah, I mean, their offense isn't the reason that they're only 5 games above 500. Their pitching has been their biggest problem. Now, Bayo's been pretty good for them, right? But he's still, very young. And hasn't necessarily proved anything. He came into the year hoping that he could just be, one of their highly touted prospects.
He struggled towards the end of last year, and that was one of the things that they were, highly touted. They were hoping he'd be good, and he's been very good this last month.
Gary corrected me in the chat. Canario's rehab is over. They just sent him to Iowa. So, I assume that as well, but I wasn't sure. So thank you, Gary, for always correcting me. I appreciate it. Also, Niren says that I'm wearing my Cody fans outfit, which, listen.
Barb, he's not wearing trousers, Barb.
I'm wearing my new Bird Dogs, baby.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, thank you. Anyway.
Should we get a look at the Cubs lineup?
Yeah, let's look at the Cubs lineup, the good guys, right? So, the summer of Mike Tauchman continues. He's leading off tonight in the DH. Horner at short, Happ in the 3-hole again, just bury me. Left field, Sei Suzuki, and right field hitting 4th. Bellinger batting 5th, and center, Morel hitting 6th, and at second base. The summer of Jared Young also continues at first base. It's not been a very fun summer of Jared Young batting 7th, and then Miles Mastrobuoni at 3rd, batting 8th, and Tucker Barnhart catching tonight, batting 9th. So obviously, I don't even think I need to look at the chat to react to the bottom of the lineup. I'm sure most of them are pretty upset about that, and which I will lean to the fact that. Yeah, I mean, but what else are they going to do at third base? They could play Morel at third base and put Mastrobuoni at second. I mean, what's that? That's not going to change anything. I think that's just it's just where they're at right now. I know Gary in the chat wants Slaughter to come up. I hear you, man. What I am a little surprised that they have given Jared Young more run.
I'm very surprised.
When are we going to get Matt Mervis back, man? I don't know. I never wanted them to send him down to begin with, and now it's like I'm clamoring for him again, just because whether they go on a run here in the second half or not, got to find out if he's going to be the guy, man. Got to find out.
Mervis really, really struggled, and I agreed with the decision to send him down. But now that he's hitting again, and we watched the defense that Mervis kind of brought to the plate or brought to first base when we saw him in that couple-week stretch, I think that has to be a point of emphasis now, because you saw Jared Young come up, and he's had a relative success, some at the plate, but a lot of swing and miss on the fastball, a lot of swing and miss on the breaking ball, and he's made some really crucial errors at first base. Again, young player, those mistakes are going to happen, but I think as we get towards, again, we're in it now. I mean, this is the most crucial stretch of the season. we see a little bit, if we see Jared Young struggle this series, I think he gets sent down, and I think you see that Mervis call up next week.
Yeah.
Again, but if Mervis or if Young continues to hit at the clip that he is, again, I still think he gets sent down. He has a good series.
Yeah.
He stays up. I really do think it comes down to these next couple games for him.
Yeah. We'll say this. I was looking at Bayo's splits earlier, and lefties are hitting better off him than righties, which makes sense. So he doesn't have reverse splits. So to see Young in there, it's I'd rather see him in there than Trey Mancini. So again,
I think everybody would. At
so
this point.
that again, that's just kind of where we're at with the lineup. Now, I said this on yesterday's show. I'm so tired of seeing Ian Happ batting third or fourth.
Unless, can you explain that to me? What's your
because
gripe
he has struggled driving runs in, dude. He has a great on base percentage, right? And if you go watch yesterday's show, I gave the numbers that he had in April. He was hitting 292, 405 on base, and a 448 slugging just in the month of April. After that, from May 1st going into tonight, hitting 226, on base of 364, and slugging 358. All right? Mm-hmm. And he's mainly hitting in the 3 or the 4 hole. He's been getting on base at a great clip, right? But he's not delivering in these crucial spots when the Cubs are trying to score runs. Has he done it? Yes, he has. But has he done it on a consistent basis? Has he done it to a point to where you feel good with him with men on base? No, not really. So Bellinger has been hot for the last, honestly, this entire month.
You don't have to
Why
tell
are you
me,
batting him fifth instead of why are you batting Bellinger fifth when you could be batting third? I don't understand.
I don't like to be the lineup guy either. But I have been the biggest, even when Bellinger was going through it, right when he got off the IL, I sat here and told you guys in the chat multiple times, why is Cody Bellinger batting seventh? Why is Cody Bellinger batting seventh?
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I'm with keeping Bellinger a little bit higher. The 5 hole is fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to complain and start throwing chairs for that one. But I'm kind of on board with the Ian Happ thing. I would like to see Cody Bellinger a little higher in the lineup just to get him more at bats too. He's the best hitter on the team right now.
I'm asking for Happ to be second or leadoff. I mean, Tauchman's done well in the leadoff role, but he's kind of came down to earth a little bit. You look at the overall numbers on the season, they're not as good as they were, 2-3 weeks ago.
So maybe a Horner leadoff, Bellinger batting 2, maybe.
No, I'm talking about Happ.
You want Happ to lead off?
I want Happ to either lead off or bat second. And they need Bellinger to be batting third or fourth in this lineup. He's been one of the only guys who's actually delivered with runners in scoring position other than Nico Horner. All right, that's my only gripe. It's going to be my only gripe because they're going to do it all season. Because I could sit here like everyone else and complain about the bottom of the lineup, but what am I going to do about it? Okay, do we want to see them play Amaya more? Yes, absolutely. Doesn't make any sense that Amaya's not playing today whenever he's consistently been catching Kyle Hendricks most of the time, and he's not today. Why Barnhart's in there? I don't know, man. I don't understand. So I'm on board with wanting to play Amaya more, but at the same time, I also still don't I still can't believe that he is given them the production that he has considering the last few years. So I'm not going to complain too much about that.
And that could just be pitcher preference too. Kyle Hendricks likes the guys that he likes. You're going to trust a 33-year-old vet to pick the catcher that he wants. So that could be just a thing there. I'm seeing a lot of comments. Our guy Braggs, shout out. Thanks for tuning in. Nick Madrigal supporter, I think up there a little bit, said that Ian Happ was a bad re-signing. I don't know what games you've been watching. That's a tough take. And I've seen a couple trade Barnhart. Guys, listen, I know the Cubs have 3 catchers, and I know that everyone wants to see Amaya more, but Tucker Barnhart, there's not a ton of trade value there right now. And Gomes, though, on the other hand, Yan Gomes has a ton of trade value. If the Cubs want to go in that direction, that's possible. Yes, I know.
Then that would really give Amaya a lot more run.
Gomes has a ton of value. Tucker Barnhart does not right now.
You're telling me that RBI double he had on Sunday didn't increase the trade value?
I know it stinks. This is the fun part about the trade deadline. Let's get rid of our bad players and get good players. That's what we all want.
Be trading Nick Madrigal too.
Yeah, let's get rid of Mastrobuoni again, guys that don't have a ton of guys that don't have a ton of trade value. But again, this is going to be a really good series. The Red Sox expected record is exactly what it is according to Run Differential, 48 and 43. The Cubs expected record is 47-42 based on run differential. That's the exact opposite of where they are right now. So, yes, it's been a really frustrating first half. Cubs lost a ton of games that they should have won. They don't have that leeway anymore. They have to win these one-run games, and these are going to be competitive games. This Red Sox,
they got to win these games when they have leads, too, and not blow them.
Yeah, and the Red Sox, again, James Paxton's going to get the ball in game 2. He was the AL Pitcher of the Month in June. He's a guy that might be auditioning for another team if the Red Sox kind of fall out of it here. This is going to be a really good measuring stick series because the Red Sox are a good team, and it's one of the last good teams you play for the next couple of weeks. Again, you go on and play the Nationals, and a lot of these teams that are well out of it, you play the Cardinals, who have already admitted they are going to be selling. So this is a big series. It's a measuring stick series, and it's going to be competitive, fun baseball. What are we seeing?
I pissed off Nick Madrigal supporter. I actually kind of did it on purpose, so it's fine. Nick Madrigal was playing well before he got hurt, dude. I understand, and I agree. I'm with you. All right, just chill.
Should we get a look at who you got tonight?
Yeah, because I'm done complaining about the lineup, and I'm done complaining about the roster. I've done it for an entire week. I don't have anything else to say other than that, given the situation, they need their star players to start performing, as in Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki.
Cody Bellinger.
Ian Happ has been great in terms of getting on base, man, but when it comes to driving in runs, just ain't getting it done on a consistent basis enough. Seiya Suzuki's hitting top 20 in hard hit rate, but can't lift the ball for whatever reason, hitting too many ground balls. Those two, they have to get it going. If they're going to win tonight, they're going to win a lot of these of this next stretch of 17 games. Those two got to get it going, dude. That's just the bottom line in my eyes.
Yeah, so you got to start putting the ball over the fence. I think that's the most glaring need right now for the Cubs, and those guys would certainly help.
Anyway, who you got?
Let's get it.
So everyone knows the bit. I'm going with Mastroboni. It was really hard deciding between him or Barnhart. And I will say this. The last two who you got winners, last Saturday, Mastroboni was the only one with multiple hits, so I won who you got. And then on Sunday, everyone else's guys didn't do shit, but I had Barnhart who had an RBI double. So I won who you got on Sunday as well. So
you're undefeated over the weekend, huh?
I went undefeated last weekend. And I mean, in terms of who you got, the Cubs still lost that Saturday game. When Mastroboni's the one leading you with double-digit hits, there's something wrong there. But, yeah.
Well, I got Mike Tauchman tonight.
Okay.
I haven't chosen him. The few times that I've wanted to take him when I've been in here for Stuckey, I haven't, and I've taken one of the mainstays, and Tauchman has proven me wrong. So I'm changing tune.
I kind of like it
because Mike Tauchman.
I kind of like it only because the Red Sox know that guy because he used to play for the Yankees.
Yep.
And so I have a feeling maybe a little reminder of who he is to the Red Sox tonight. So good luck, best of luck. Ryan's going Bellinger, Brendan's going Morel, and Corey's going Nico.
Ryan should get half a point for going with the hottest hitter in the lineup if he wins. That's just my opinion. It's too easy.
Too easy?
I'm kidding, Ryan, if you're watching.
He's not watching.
Yeah, so that I don't think I think I've won maybe one or two who you got, so I'd have to go back and look at the standings. But I have not had a good stretch. So Mike Tauchman, I'm begging you, man. Put me in the win column. And again, hope
if Mastroboni actually does something tonight, I will be unbearable on postgame. If they win and Mastroboni does something, I will be unbearable. Nick Madrigal supporter is going to hate me.
Before we get on out of here and go to the game, we do want to let you guys know there's weather in the area, so obviously we will continue to monitor that. If there's a rain delay, if the game is canceled, we'll have a regular off-day show like the guys normally would, and we'll sit here and talk about the All-Star game and the future, this 17-game stretch. But one little thing I wanted to talk about before we get out of here, I think it's kind of fun, is there's some articles out there and some rumors out there about both of these teams potentially being buyers and sellers, because whether or not you want to, the records are different, but they're both kind of on that fringe area right now. The Red Sox are 5 games over 500, but they play in a much better league and a much better division. So obviously that's going to complicate things. The Cubs are right there, even though they're 5 games back, but these two there could be some potential movement maybe between these two teams. The Red Sox are going to be looking for pitching.
They have a history, right? They have a history of making trades together and former players playing there.
And the Red Sox are going to need pitching because the ghost of Chris Sale is maybe coming back. They're trying to rehab him back, but you can't rely on that. Right now they have two guys that they can rely on in that rotation. You're going to see both of them in the series, but the Cubs have, I don't want to call it an embarrassment of riches in pitching, but they have a lot of starting pitching depth. So you could see that. Justin Turner, a guy who's playing second base tonight, I saw, which was kind of interesting. He's on a 2-year deal. I think it's like $21 or $22 million. That could be a guy they might look to move on a club-friendly deal. Cubs need a third baseman. I don't know. There's a lot of fun storylines kind of hidden there. Again, all hypotheticals, but I think it could be kind of fun to see a trade there.
It would be interesting who the Cubs would send back for Justin Turner if that were to actually happen. Because, they could use him. And I don't know how much third he's played with the Red Sox this year, but because Devers is playing.
Devers is the main guy.
Third
mainstay.
mainly.
Yep.
So, we know that he has all kinds of experience playing third. So, just for spitballing purposes here, I mean, I assume the Cubs would send maybe a mid-tier prospect back or something.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe they need a bench guy or something. But, I just don't see them moving Justin Turner if they're planning on trying to make the playoffs. And, again, they're only 2 games back, wild card.
Let's check and see. Wild card standings right now. The Red Sox are 2 games out. Yeah. Baltimore, Houston, and Toronto own the 3 AL wild card spots right now. Baltimore is 5 games up. Houston and Toronto are tied. The Yankees are above the Sox by 1 game. So the Yankees are 1 game behind Toronto and Houston for one of those spots. So, it is neck and neck for those spots, and that's what we expect. That division is loaded. Every team's above 500. Every team has a positive run differential. They're all loaded, and they all have big-time payrolls. And so, I think it could be fun, though. The Red Sox have some guys that I enjoy, and Justin Turner would be perfect right now for what the Cubs want. A guy that's not going to, strangle your payroll. He's on end of the year and the next year, so – again, maybe. All hypothetical. I don't think the Red Sox are going to move him, if I had to say, because I do think that they're going to be in it, and I think they'll believe they're going to be in it.
Unless they falter these next 2 weeks as well. It's a big couple weeks for them. So.
Well, could be. We keep hearing the guys like Stroman and Hendricks and Drew Smyly and guys like the Cubs might be able to move. We'll see. If I'm going to be honest, I don't know. I just have a hard time believing they're going to trade Stroman. It could happen. I just have a hard time believing it. But that's all hypotheticals. 17 games to go. It starts tonight, second half of the season. Cubs and Red Sox. Kyle Hendricks, Brian Bayo in the 7 o'clock game here at Wrigley. We'll see if we get most of the game in. We'll see if we get any of it in tonight. Again, rain in the forecast, but we'll obviously continue to keep you updated on it.
Well, if the game gets postponed, we'll definitely be back here for, we'll probably talk more about this stuff. So we'll see you back here at some point later tonight.
Certainly will. Cody Delmendo, thank you for letting me hop in on the pregame. Kevin Wells in for Luke Stuckmeyer here on the pregame. We'll be back for postgame right here on the CHGO Cubs Podcast.